Hello, welcome to my show, Interruptis, Season 2, Episode 1. Y'all, I know you're thinking, wait a minute, didn't Season 1 just end literally a week ago with Lebanese-ish, Italian-ish Commander Riker guy? And I'll say, yes, that was the last episode of Season 1, and we are at Season 2 because he done messed up. And I really see who he is. And so it's funny, there's always this 90-day marker that I warned him about where you just kind of see who somebody is within 90 days. Well, the way to accelerate that process and see who they are even faster is by becoming exclusive with them. And so when you become exclusive with many men, they just stop trying. Anything. They don't want to text you regularly. They don't want to make plans that are solid. They want to do other things that they need to do. Let me get into the story. I digress and generalize when it's really about Lebanese-ish, Italian-ish Commander Riker. So we had a date on Friday, first date where he was going to stay over my place for the evening. And in the morning, we were supposed to go together walking to the farmer's market. And that's the kind of thing you need to do early because it gets crowded. And on top of that, I had plans afterward to see my homegirl from high school and meet up with her and her family. Anyways, so we had these plans. We go to dinner. He was on time. It was a good time. We walked back here. It was meant from me to be a romantic evening. I got him chocolates that I purchased, and not from like the CVS, none of that Russell Stover business, but like really nice truffle caramel chocolates that I got at the flower shop. I've got a single rose that was all dressed up in baby's breath and eucalyptus. And I also got a really nice smelling candle. And I presented to him at the date, just saying, hey, I'm excited. It's our first Friday night together. I'm excited you're staying over. We're gonna go do this thing tomorrow. So I noticed he doesn't have a bag. And okay, there's a CVS underneath my building. And I say, let's go to CVS and anything you need, you can get. So I got him a toothbrush and I don't know, I think he wanted like Gatorade. I got that. And so then we came up and we're talking and had some fun times. And then I fell asleep. At 1 a.m, I went to the bathroom. When I came back from the bathroom, he very much had all of his clothes on. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought that you were sleeping over. And he's like, I have to go. And I was just like, is it that it's loud in here? And he said, it is. And I need earplugs and I need a mask. And I said, well, I have earplugs and I have a mask. So I wish you would have said something. Now, truth be told, I am downtown on the second floor. There are lots of sirens. This is true, but this is not news. I mean, he's been over here a few times to have heard it. And if you're generally staying over somebody's place and you know it's going to be loud and you know you're staying over, then you would bring earplugs. And when I offered them, he's like, no, I need to go home and take a shower. I'm like, I have a shower here. And he's like, no, I really need to just catch up on sleep. I didn't sleep much this week and it's the weekend and I need to catch up on my sleep. And I'm thinking, this is sounding really lame because this is the first Friday that we're together as a couple. And he agreed. I didn't say, this is what you're doing. I said, hey, do you want on Friday night, come over? We'll go to dinner and then you could stay over and the next day we go to the farmer's market. So he could have said, yes, I'll do the first part, no to the second part. He could have said any kinds of things other than agreeing to it. And then 1 a.m, after relations were had, he's ready to go because y'all know what that feels like. So in the moment I said, excuse me, if you leave right now in the middle of the night, I'm going to feel a certain kind of way. So would you be open to me going to your place? Because we were supposed to spend the night together and this is feeling very odd to me. So if I go to your place, if you're more comfortable there, then maybe that'll be better. And he's like, well, it sounds like it's inconvenient. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to throw a bag together at 1 a.m. when I was not planning that. But I told you I don't want to feel a certain kind of way. And he was like, okay. So I just kept my pajamas on and put on a sweater, threw a whole bunch of things in the bag. He drove us over and he's like, I really just didn't plan it. I really just didn't plan to bring a bag. I'm like, why not? He's like, I was just so focused on getting to the dinner part on time. And then I'm thinking, this fool does not know how to manage his time and does not have any know-how how to plan beyond one thing. So I just tried to accept it and roll with it. In the morning, I couldn't quite get ready the way I wanted because I had thrown a whole bunch of stuff together. He was slow to leave the house. He kept kind of puttering it around and just like, almost like couldn't get the glue out of his rear end. And I was like, we said that we would be leaving at 9:45 to get to do this thing. And now it's like way past whatever time. And so he's like, oh, I usually need my coffee. And at this moment, I start realizing, I'm a person with a lot of energy. And when I wake up, I just am going and I start talking. Now, I know that could be annoying. But if somebody says to me, Sam, I'm this kind of way, right? Just try to get this man is 52 years old. He can't give me the heads up on what he needs in the morning and he can't be realistic. But again, if you're bad at managing time, you just can't. So we leave late, we arrive at the thing late. There's a huge crowd of people. I'm kind of trying to rush around through it, so much so that I lost my license in the process. And he's like, well, if you lose the license, it's really bad. So I'm like, well, I agree with you, but what are we gonna do now? Like, I can't go back in time to get my license to know where I lost it, and I can't magically, I don't have a magic license locating device. I didn't say either of those things. I just said I can't do anything about it now. I'm bummed that I lost it. So anyways, all of this because I should have just said, you know what, it's too late for the farmer's market. But I tried to keep going with it, and because I didn't want him to change my plan, but he did because he couldn't pack a bag. He didn't have that skill set, I guess. So I tried to move on past it. He kind of apologized, but not it wasn't like a, hey, listen, I really should have. It was just more like in passing. So then the next morning I said, look, I could tell it seems like you need some space and you have a lot of stuff that you do. So if you need time to yourself, or if we're spending too much time, you just tell me what you need. And so he says, no, you're right. I haven't been doing a great job communicating on what I need. I usually need one day in the weekend to do my stuff. I have all these chores that I'm trying to get out of the way. And if I do it now, then I won't have to do it in the future. And then we can spend more time. And I was thinking, okay, well, there's always going to be something, isn't there? Fast forward, he says he wants to see me Sunday night. I say, what time? He doesn't give me a time. I say, I really need to know because I'm going to be kind of figuring out my stuff. So, should we say 7-ish? He's like, I'll just call you later. And I said, that's making me feel like pizza. And I don't like feeling like pizza. If you can't commit to a time and then you're just saying, come here in 30 minutes, that's not really respectful of my time, right? So he's like, no, I'll message you later. We'll come up with something. I guess he didn't get it because later on, while I was just done grocery shopping, he texts me that he wants to meet up. And I say, when and where? This is 6:05, mind you. Oh, I don't know. And then we're volleying. So I try to call him. He says, I can't talk. I'm on the phone with my friend. Turns out he was on the phone with his friend that he saw earlier that day. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I'm here waiting for you, trying to figure out. I have about 3 hours before I need to go to sleep, or less than that, because I work early in the morning, East Coast hours. So time is kind of ticking. Could you just tell me where and when we're going to meet? And he's like, I can't talk now. And I was just like, well, I hope your friend puts out, because right now you're prioritizing that whole situation. And he's like, be fair. I'm like, yeah, I'm 100% being fair. You got me waiting here. You got to pull the trigger, please. I should have just been like, forget it. But he finally talk, and say, all right. And he's like, well, how about I come to you? And I'm like, no, I've got limited time and I know you run into time issues. So I'm going to come to you and I'll pick you up because I'm going to go like in less than an hour. And he was just like, okay, fine. And it was like, I don't care if that seemed extra assertive or not, but we already know that this man cannot manage time at all. So the idea was I was going to stay over there. When we go to dinner, it was fine. We get back from dinner. It's already 9 o'clock. It's time for me to go to sleep. His dog had urinated all over the floor because she had separation anxiety from us being gone for less than 2 hours. And so he cleans it up, and while I go to lie down, he takes him about 45 minutes to come up. Part of that was his calling me in the middle to wake me up, asking me if I needed anything. So he called me from his own house on the cell phone. When he came up about 45 minutes later, I was like, hey, you've been gone for like at least a half an hour. And he's like, I had to feed my dog. I had to do the fish tank. I had to do this. I had to put the stuff away from 2 days ago. I'm thinking, why didn't he put it away last night? Anyways, so I was like, lying here and I like fell asleep when you called me. And he's like, oh, well, at least you got some sleep. And it just seemed like really snarky and not nice and not tender. And I'm just like, I wasn't, whatever. I let it go in the moment. And then like, sheesh. So last night, or no, 2 nights ago when we were supposed to meet, oh wait, I did say that part. See, I get stuck in a loop because I get really mad. And so what had happened was the next day we messaged a little bit in the morning and not much at all. And then it had been like really 8 hours that he didn't message me. And I had said, hey, I'm not feeling so great. And I wasn't. I said, I'm going to go to bed a little bit early. Do you have time to say hey before I go to sleep? Nothing for like an hour and a half, except for I'm just finishing dinner. Like just finishing dinner. I guess he's out. Okay. Then he calls me up from the car afterward, and he's like, yeah, I just went to dinner. Didn't say with who, but said he went to dinner. I wasn't going to pry, but whatever happened with whomever he was at dinner with, he was in a very bad and mean mood. And I was just like, hey, well, how are you feeling about everything? And he's like, well, I'm enjoying spending time with you. And if I could see you on the weekend, great. If I can't see you during the week, you staying at my place, then I guess, that's fine. And we'll just enjoy our time on the weekends. But I'm really enjoying that. So do you have anything for me? And I was just like, wow, like the tone and the message, they don't match at all. Like the tone is sounding like you're bothering me, lady. And I don't know, something was weird about it. I already had a really bad feeling when I called him. I really did. And I think he went on some kind of date. Because that's the feeling I had. I don't normally just have these random feelings, but he was being really mean for no reason. And I was like, look, I just kind of have this feeling and I don't know what it is. And he's like, well, let me just be really clear that if people have feelings, then that could ruin a relationship. And it was just like, again, not kind. And I was like, So then I just kind of was like, maybe it's the feeling based on the very true observation that you have a difficult time telling somebody else your needs and communicating your needs. And perhaps it's not just the feeling so much as the very reality that I have from 2 days ago, you saying that you had difficulty communicating your needs. Then he's like, oh, I never said that. I said that I had a real breakthrough. I'm like, oh, that's interesting because that's not really how it came up at all. And in fact, you did say that you weren't doing a good job communicating your needs on needing that one weekend. And so we did establish that. So then I see this fool is trying to gaslight me. So now we got this weird feeling I have. And I told him, look, I've in my past ignored my intuition. And every time I've ignored my intuition, that has been bad because my intuition is 100% correct all the time when I have a strange feeling. And he was just silent. And then said, you're really reading too much into this. And I'm thinking, reading too much into what, right? So it's like, fool done been caught. Now, I didn't say that, But I was just like, there's certain things that I have feelings about that you did that made me feel a certain kind of way, and maybe that's really what's playing into this. And be thinking that he hadn't messaged me back for like 9 hours or something, and he just was at dinner with somebody, right? All of this is feeling strange. I'm adding it up, not trying to catch you, just like because the other day on Saturday, I said, look, if this is too quick for you, I mean, if you just got out of something, if you want to keep dating other people, just let me know and I would understand and we could try to figure something out. So I put it out there at least 2 times. He didn't take it. So I don't really know, but sometimes people, even if you try to be honest with them, they would rather live crooked lives. And just things, I would put all my money on something snaky going on. I don't know what, I never do. But it's always 100% correct when I have that feeling. So the other thing is when I was telling him last night, hey, I have these feelings, and I started going into, we were supposed to have a romantic evening on the Friday night, and when I woke up to go to the bathroom after we had certain activities and you were all dressed up, that made me feel a certain way. And he was like, well, you shouldn't feel that way. I said, whoa, excuse me? You don't get to tell me how I should feel and how I shouldn't feel. This is how I feel. Now, for you as my partner, I'm seeking validation for that feeling. You don't have to say that you would have felt that way. All you have to do is accept that I do feel that way. And he was like, well, I'm telling you the reason is that your place is loud. And I said, right, but you're not validating the feeling that I have. That would make me feel kind of sad. And he was just still on the thing about him being right, as opposed to making me feel like my feelings were known. And I said, could you please validate and acknowledge my feelings? Are you able to do that? Just like that, I said that. And he said, I can, but it was really loud in your place and you're reading too much into things. And I said, it's probably also the fact that I didn't hear from you kind of for 9 hours. And he's like, well, when you're in a relationship that's mature with 2 adults, you don't need to keep checking in with them, and you should be able to not hear from them for 24 hours without it being a problem. And I said, okay, so 24 hours, I shouldn't be expecting to hear from you then. This is like the normal thing, because to me, in a new relationship where you're still getting to know the other person, you would actually want to just be like, hey, I'm thinking of you. So this very much accelerated the speed of me being just with him, had me see what so many men do. They have the woman and they done stop trying. They don't want to make you feel like they're interested to text you. They don't want to make you feel like you're a priority. So fulano de tal on the phone is going to be more important than you when you're waiting by the phone trying to figure out where to meet this fool so he can spend 2.5 hours with you and another half an hour with him futzing around in his house while you're sleeping in his bed. And I'm sorry, but I think I would say he's not hot enough for all this behavior, and really no one is, but he's definitely not, and not worth my time. So thanks for letting me process. We're gonna actually go through and not go on any dates with except just my friends and me going by myself, because I'd rather be by myself than keep putting up with this bull stuff. So thanks for letting me process. And welcome to season 2, where I end up just exploring people in person and no more apps with the nonsense.